Hello and welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad everyone's here today. So as you enter the room, please say hello. Let us see who you are. Tell us where you're watching from because we are all over the world. And if there's anything that you have a problem with, please let me know in the comments because I am solo today and want to make sure that we got everything going right here. So let's see. Today we are doing book coaching for authorpreneurs. Very exciting. And we have so much going on. Please up again, drop your comments in, say hi, tell us where you're joining us from. And please join you can subscribe to our YouTube channel here, or you can follow us on social media such as Facebook, LinkedIn, and so much more. Boy, it's going to be a good one today. And we're doing book coaching for authorpreneurs, and this is all about helping you to write with a focus and find out what you're doing. My name is Joellen. I am from First Editing, and we're going to discuss the 7 things you need to know to become an authorpreneur and how that works in with book coaching for authorpreneurs today. So again, as you have questions or comments, please drop them in so that I can help you there. And let's see, we have Kingston, Ontario, Canada, great. North Carolina, Pennsylvania. There's so many more coming in. This is great. So just drop those in, say hello. Let's see where we're coming in from. Just make sure that we are live. And we can also want to go live on our First Editing in Twitter and LinkedIn and in Facebook. All right. Now we're all there. So everyone say hi as we lock in and we talk about book coaching for entrepreneurs today. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, super effective, and then I'm going to leave some time open for questions and answers. So that should help everyone get involved. Let me go over here. So book coaching for entrepreneurs, do want to make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we'll send a free replay if you missed any part of this. We'll also send out emails to everyone who's following us so that you can get a replay there. And that's for each live webinar. We do these quite frequently. It's after summer. So now we're ready to do, every 2-3 weeks. And that's very exciting. We have some new ones coming up from some different experts. So we'll be going back and forth. And of course, if you're following us, we have a lot of ours that come across on Eventbrite. So that's quite good. Well, let's see here. And you can follow us there. So I do want to mention that I will be sharing some free handouts and ebooks and things like that. And I'll make sure all those links are included here. So no worries as we go along. So today we're talking about book coaching for entrepreneurs. And what is that? There's a lot of talk out there about coaching and book shepherding and book helpers and all these different things. And there's a whole range of services that you can receive. So it's very important that you know exactly what you're looking for, what you need, and what that person provides so that there's a clear understanding before you get started. And again, today we're going to talk about the 7 things that you need to know to become an entrepreneur. So that'll help you as we go along. But let's start from the very, very top. And the very top would be, what is an entrepreneur? So as we get started here, let me just set up my screen so I can work through this as we go. So an entrepreneur is how you look at your book. And as an entrepreneur, you have a financial goal or a business goal. You have a clear, decisive reason for why you're writing this book. And normally it is to create and enhance your career as an author. Or if you're dealing with nonfiction, it can enhance your income and your marketing as a expert in a certain field. So what you're doing here is your goal is to create a profitable book. And that leads to products and services. And your book is one of those products. It can be the only one, or it can be one of many. So it varies based upon your overall goals. And you're going to hear me say the word goal again and again and again, because that's what this is all about tonight, is clearly defining your goals so that you can write the book in the way that you imagine, but also so that it engages the audience that you need and has them react and engage also with you so that this book is sold. So you're going to focus on your end goal of creating profit and a career from your writing. And to do this, you need an obvious goal for your book. So we're going to look at that first. You know, there are 7 things that you and your coach need to know. Let me just turn off this scrolling banner here. And as we go through, and we're going to start with those first. So the first one is who? Who is going to read your book? Have you clearly defined that? Yes, it can be the genre. Yes, it can be, the type of person who's searching for an answer. But can you find them, that audience? Do you know how to connect with them? Do you know where to market your book? Because you need to clearly define this. It can't be, well, anybody who enjoys science fiction is going to write my book, or anybody who's interested in starting a business is going to read my book. Those are just too broad of category, not only for being found, but to put it up on Amazon or anywhere else that you're putting it out there. You need to clearly define your category for not, I mean, yes, of course, you may want to achieve a bestseller status, but more so to find and connect with the readers that will engage with your writing in the way that you're designing. And this is just the first step. So you need to write that out and identify them. Who will read your book? Why will they read it? What are they planning to do, and more? So again, this comes to the next question. What do you want what do you want your reader to do? So they are going to read the book because of the information they're searching for, or the type of entertainment they're seeking, whichever it may be, fiction or nonfiction. And we're going to gloss over both of those tonight. But what do you want this reader to do? Do you want them to buy the next in a series? Do you want to share the book by word of mouth? Do you want them to give you a good review? Do you want them to purchase your consulting services? Do you want them to uh, call you, contact you, visit your website, whatever it may be, join your community, be part of your Facebook page, be part of your LinkedIn categories, whatever it is that you want your readers to do, you need to define that so that you and your book coach can make sure that that action is absolutely clear and planned for and clear to your readers. You will ask them to do this. You will clearly define what you want them to do. If you want them to go to your website, you will say, for example, to learn more about editing, join us at firstediting.com. That's a simple example of an ebook of what we're doing. So they see this, and if it's an electronic book, that link will automatically go. All they've got to do is click on it. To read the next book in the series, quite often this is included at the end of the presentation in Amazon. This author has also written these books, and that's the best time for them to buy the next in your series or any other book that you've written. So what do you want your reader to do is very important so that you can create the next step for them. Because again, as an authorpreneur, you're looking to create profit and a sustainable career here with your writing. So when do you want your reader to engage further? Do you want them to engage during the actual reading of the book? Do you want them to engage at the end of the book? Do you want them to instantly call you? Is this a book that will be used at a presentation, at a book signing, at a keynote speaker situation, depending upon if you're fiction, nonfiction? Then you need to know when you want to engage with your reader. And again, clearly you've already defined what you want the reader to do. So when you engage them, during, before, after, that's very important, and what you want them to do. If you can clearly state this to your book coach, they can check in your book to make sure that it is effective and that it's clearly outlined, and that you're presenting this in a way that's engaging and non-offensive and keeps your voice and does all these fantastic things that editors and book coaches do. So the next one is where. Where does the book itself fit into your overall marketing strategy? As a fiction author, your book would be part of a series. There are many, I spoke with a private niche agent just a couple weeks ago, and she was saying, she won't take on any authors who don't have at least 5 books in a series ready. Why? Because she can market them quite effectively. But it not being a huge publishing house, she's not going to wait and hope that they're going to write the next book. She's going to make sure that she has the next one there and that they can profitably go forward. So that book fits into the series, and it's very easy to promote it, to have a directional link of when they buy the next book, etc. Now, as a nonfiction writer, how does it fit in your overall marketing? Is it something that you're going to stand up on stage and hold it there and say, hi, I'm this best-selling author of this, and I'm an expert in this field, and that gives you validity? Because maybe that's enough. Or are you giving your book out and they're signing it? Are you including it as something when they purchase something, they also get this free informational package from you? There's many different ways you can use it to promote yourself. And having this clearly outlined is so important so that you can define, and those of you who are nonfiction marketers will know that your funnel, that you're moving your readers through the funnel and getting them to engage with you and your book in the ways that you know are effective for you, or you are using the book to move forward as a personal sales in itself. So be clear about this. These are 7 things, and we will come back to these, but make sure you're writing them down. And again, there will be a free replay if you've signed up. If you need to get a hold of us and you missed part of this, because I know people are still coming in, I see it just flashing here. You can email us at editors@firstediting.com, and we'll be glad to send you the replay. No problem. Okay, so that was number 4 of the 7. And remember, we're going to go through these. I'm going through them quickly now, and then I'll leave some time here for us to answer questions. So why? Why are you writing this book? Is it that you want to be a bestseller? Do you want to be an expert? Do you just have a story to tell? Do you want to engage with a certain community? Whatever it may be, you need to clearly define why are you writing this book. If one of those reasons is to make money, then everything I'm telling you about tonight is super important, because it comes back to creating a profit and knowing how you're going to walk the people through your process, and when they're going to engage, and when they will make the purchase, and when they will join your community, and when they will follow you, and when they will come back, and how you will benefit and profit from each of those steps. So it's very important. So why are you writing this book? Is the book the total goal, or is it part of many different goals that fit into your overall presentation as a writer? And it's very important that you define this. These questions may seem so simple, but I dare you, I triple dog dare you to write them all down and clearly outline again and again and again, so that you know exactly what you're doing, because your best book coach, your best developmental editor will be asking you these questions as they go in. So that was number 5 of 7. Number 6, how? How does your book fit into the overall process of becoming an entrepreneur? Is it the first step, or is it part of something that already exists? Do you have a community that is following you? Do you have a business? Do you have a website that you can promote this on there? Or are you starting at the beginning with the book, and then you're going to build your community and your buyers from that way? You need to understand the overall process of becoming an entrepreneur. What are the different methods that you're going to use to profit from this book as a product, either as an individual product or as part of an overall marketing plan? So again, how does this book fit in? How important is it? And why? So again, the more you can clearly share this with your book coach and your developmental editor, they'll be able to help you. So, and have you prepared this? Do you have a clear outline of the overall journey with your readers to take? Meaning, where do they buy it? Where do they find you? Where do you find them? Where do they win, and where do they buy your book? How easy is it? What do you want them to do while they're reading the book? Where does this book fit into the overall other opportunities that you are sharing with your audience? And why would they choose you? Why have you written this book? And why would this person want to buy it from you? What makes you the expert or the best in this particular situation? So those are the first 7. Now let's go in a little bit deeper here. So as we're talking about being an entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur, it requires a lot of strategy. So these are just small portions of creating the strategy that we have there. And so it's very important that we know what we're approaching and what we want to do. So when you're doing this, you need to have a high level concept of your writing and your career goals, and you need to be able to clearly state these objectives and fill in all these steps so that your sales funnel and your plan, you plan accordingly when connecting all these different parts to your book. So the strategy is your presentation. The book is your presentation, but it's also how are you presenting the book? How are you launching it? How are you marketing it? Where do you share it? Is it in bookstores? Is it in your business? Is it on your website? Is it on your social media? Is it on Amazon? Is it in a publishing house? All these different things. All these different things that you need to clearly outline your presentation of the book and how you're going to present the book. So that's kind of a back and forth on that. How are you going to engage your readers? In what way? How will you launch this book so that it sells not only to them, but that you create a movement of people wanting to purchase your book and that they'll find it? And of course, as I mentioned, this is a little bit different as we go through these for fiction versus nonfiction. Nonfiction, of course, are your business people. It's normally your inspirational, motivational, or educational writing. Yes, we have memoirs in there, but memoirs, I'm not that it's fiction, that's still a story. So that's going to be a little bit differently how we deal with that. But nonfiction is, how you are engaging with them as part of your overall marketing. So nonfiction is very different from fiction, whereas fiction is the overall story that you're telling. So nonfiction includes the content of your book. When you're writing the nonfiction book, it's going to have a very well designed nonfiction manuscript that provides specific links to additional information, otherwise referred to as call to actions. It's going to have additional support materials. They've bought your book, but do you know who they are? If you don't know who they are, then you need to capture their email. How do you capture their email? You give them another ebook so that you have their email and you can keep in touch with them and you can further market to them in the future with your next book, with your next product, with your next presentation, whatever it is that you're providing. So you need to include your contact information, success stories of how you've done well what you do, and all these different calls to action. It helps your readers to engage with you, your book, and your overall business. That's how we're looking at it as a nonfiction author. As a fiction author, you're going to lead to the next story within the series. So it's ideal to have 3 to 5 books ready upon your launch. I know that sounds hard, but it's great. So you've got to look at the story arc, not only of your individual book, but the story arc of the series, and perhaps the story arc of anything that you plan in the future, the prequels, all that different things that's going in there. And fans need to be prepared to buy and review your story because this is how you become popular. This is how you become desirable as a storyteller. And you're going to bundle them into a series. So your fans, they're going to click on the next title and keep reading. So it's always important to remember as a fiction author, and of course this is what your book coach is talking to you about, that you need to include the hook. And the hook is to your next book. So I've been talking about what do you want them to do? Well, those are the hooks. How do you engage them? How do you get them so enticed that they absolutely will share their email, they'll absolutely buy the next book, they'll absolutely become part of your following and do what you want them to do. So you're going to work this into your book, and it's going to include common settings, your story arc, your characters, your timelines, your world. Could be a special world that you've created. So you want uh, your readers in this is what Netflix is doing and Amazon's doing and everything else, is you kind of want them to binge on your series and you want them hungry for the next one. So that's a little bit of difference between the fiction and nonfiction there. So we're going to plan and create a team for support and expertise. So the book coach is part of this overall process. There may be more in there. Of course, you're going to have marketing, you're going to have the launch, your social media, you're going to have so many different things. Your editing, your publishing, your book design, your cover design, all these important things, plus, of course, your audience. So you're going to try to build this team. And the reason why I talk about a team here is because you cannot be an expert on everything. Yes, you can learn it, but it's really not necessary. And in today's world, there are so many affordable ways to engage people that I encourage you to reach out, and especially your first time around, to find an expert that you can learn from and have the full experience and learn, because you don't know what you don't know. Learn what you need to do in that specific area. And then the next time around, of course, you can go ahead and do it yourself if that is productive and the right choice for you. So, these types of book services are served by a team of experts, and you have different phases within the publishing and the promotion. So, having a clearly outlined vision, a clear walk from writing the book, finding the authors, the not the authors, finding the readers, finding your audience, engaging your audience, having them purchase the book, having them read the book, having them engage with your website or your community or whatever while they're in there. All of these is important to the strategy, because this helps build your team, and you can say, aha, here I need somebody who can launch my book, here I need somebody who can edit my book, here I need somebody who can design the book cover, somebody who can help me outline my author central site. We can, all these different things, promote on Goodreads, get some beta readers, go into book signing, get in, write a query letter, whatever it may be, sell it at my keynote speech, put it on my website, manage my website, all these different things. So you can easily waste thousands of dollars and hours on all of these processes if you don't have specific goals with it outlined of what you want from it. So you need to know, what is it that you want? And if you don't know, then find somebody to discuss that with, you know? And that may not necessarily be the book coach, but it could be a business coach, it could be a personal coach. And there's a lot of different coaching. So I encourage you to have these outlined and start by outlining your vision and create this. This is just a little buffer and a place to start here tonight, using the vision that you create from answering the questions that we've just talked about, these first 7 questions. So use the answers from these 7 questions to draft your strategy and create and then sell your book. Ultimately, you're going to search for similar authors, and you're going to design specific goals, and all of this will create a profitable sales based upon similar audience engagement. So again, as you figure out what works, you can repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So very, very important. So what is book coaching exactly for an authorpreneur? And why are we talking about this tonight? Well, a book coach is the person who's going to assist you in achieving your overall goals as an entrepreneur. And they have different names: coaches, book shepherds, whatever it may be, And different coaches specialize in the various phases of the book publishing, such as the writing, the editing, the publishing, the designing, the promoting, the branding, the marketing, blogging, launching, etc., etc. And again, these are the people who can help you answer the questions above, and it's essential that you approach them with a clear outline. The more specific you can be, the better they can help you achieve your goals, because then you have a clearly defined goal and you know when it works or not. So as an editor at First Editing, we talk about book coaches. We have book coaches for nonfiction, and we have story coaches for storytellers. So I want to cover briefly how these processes work from that perspective, because editing is one of the situations that you're going to be doing during this process. And you're going to need a blurb, and you're going to need an outline. You're going to need a developmental editor to perform all these things. So I want to clearly outline what that means for you and how that works. So a developmental editor is basically what you're going to need there. Let's see. And you're going to need this for the nonfiction, and it's a developmental editor, and they are essential when you're starting your career as an entrepreneur. They're going to look at your book coach. You're going to look at your book coach and get essential steps to editing your nonfiction. Now, you can self-edit prior, and all the questions I'm giving you tonight are part of that. The more you can write, stop, self-edit, stop, self-edit, stop, find a professional, the better it'll be. Now, you can get it done for you, or you can do it yourself. It's either way, but it's very important to learn where and why you might need to rewrite structurally your manuscript to fulfill your objectives. Meaning, if you say, well, I want them to come to my website, and you have not included a link in your book, then that's pretty crazy. Or if you get them to go to your website, what do you want them to do? You don't need, useless traffic. You need them to come to your website and exchange their email for more information from you. You need to create an uh, you need to create a relationship which is um, engaging and exchanging on both sides, and that creates trust and expertise. So again, if you have an ebook that outlines exactly what you're going to tell them more about, that's helpful as a nonfiction author. And so again, when you're looking for this developmental editor, they're going to look at your book's overall composition, they're going to look at your objectives in the overall process, and they're going to use their experience as a developmental editor to evaluate your writing, your skills, your voice, and your proposition and the blurb, how it compares to what you're doing. And they're going to make sure that you fulfill these. And overall, they're also going to give you an editorial critique, which includes recommendations and feedback on how to further develop your manuscript. What this means is when you work with a developmental editor, you're not done most of the time. You have to be really good to just be done. What it means is that you have done the developmental edit, and then you get the manuscript back, and you're going to go through it to do revisions. And a good editor will mark it up. They'll have feedback, they'll have suggestions, they'll have some corrections. But on this high level developmental edit, we're not looking at your commas and your punctuation, your syntax errors, as much as we're looking at your overall presentation based upon the goals and the strategy that you have. So an experienced editor is going to provide you insight into the overall creative presentation. And they're going to give you an in-depth content edit, the editorial review. They're going to include a professional summary letter. So you're going to make your revisions based upon these and the goals that you've outlined. And once you're familiar with the critiquing methods, you can later self-edit. So again, the first time is way more intense. But if you're going to keep doing this, an authorpreneur, that means you had the intent of writing not just one book, maybe 5, 10, 20, 100, whatever it may be. So get an editor that you trust, that you can work with. And if we need to go into that, I can, based on your questions. But overall, do it right the first time, and you will learn more, and you'll be able to do a lot of the line editing and copy editing and individual self-editing later. And this is going to save you time and money down the line. So you want to get unbiased professional editorial critique your writing. You cannot get this from somebody who is your mom, your dad, or somebody who says, oh, you're a great writer, you can do it. You really need to have a professional who's neutral, who wants to help you succeed based upon your goals, and that has worked with other authors and can prove that they're competent in this job. So you're going to look at getting an executive level edit, an executive level edit, and it's going to include this valuation. So let me go back here. So you're looking at this with the composition and the structure of the overall manuscript that you present, your objectives that you've outlined in your strategy, how you're engaging your readers to complete those objectives, how you're making this presentation, where you're presenting it, what you want them to do when you're doing that, and so much more. So that is a nonfiction book coach in the editing process. And that's what we're looking at today. So story coaching is looking at the fiction manuscript for those who tell storytellers. So some of you may be writing memoirs and things like that. That's also a story. So we use the same kind of story coaching element there. And what we're looking at is your story arc, your elements that are included there. We have a 38 point, your plot, your characters, your scenes, your world development, all of that's so important. And again, this is by knowing your niche, your genre, knowing who your readers are, who they also follow, how to attract and engage those who enjoy that genre, those niche. And the story coach is going to review your entire manuscript structure and compare it with a successfully proven story arc in your genre. So where the 5 major key points happen within that story arc, how you're engaging with the different people for different reasons and their characters, and making sure that you have the key elements there to write what is considered a form or format that follows and works subconsciously for the fiction readers. And the certified story coach, and that's what we provide here, and so that's where I'm talking from, and I really do believe that this is the forefront of editing, that the certified story coach, such as we have here at First Editing, they're developmental editors who are certified, and they dig deeper into your novel's fine details. Sure, they have published other authors and they have worked in the different publishing houses and served as agents and critiques and beta readers, all those things. So they have that subjective knowledge, and they provide that very well. They're vetted, they're certified. But what they've done beyond that is they're using a specialized software that helps them evaluate your book, your story, scene by scene, to ensure that all of the elements are included to ensure your success. So when you engage a certified story coach, you're going to receive in-depth advice, notes, and recommendations throughout your writing, and you're going to get a professional summary letter, which helps you see that big picture. And just like with nonfiction, after that, you're going to go in and do the revisions. So it's not one time you're done. It's a back and forth little dance that you're doing there, but you will get better. And as you write your series, you will become a better self-editor. So that helps you. And it's ideal for aspiring fiction authorpreneurs to start with a developmental edit with a certified story coach, and use that summary letter for the revisions. Look at the detailed story arc, review the story elements step by step, and get instructions exactly how to revise that within your specific genre by a certified and appropriately vetted editor. So just as a side note here, I want to mention that when you go online and you're looking for an editor, it's very easy to go to a directory, and you just get this list of thousands of editors, and they're all great and they're all going to do wonderful things. You don't have any clue how much they cost. You may or may not see some of their work, what is done. You have no guarantee they're going to deliver on time. So it's very, very important. We took that out, and I think that it's really, really good to get a sample from the editor that you're considering. That's what we do here, and find out, what's their experience. Are they really an expert or not? Because everyone claims to be, but is their company standing behind them and validating all the things that they say there? So it's very important that you get this professional editing for your revisions, your organization, the presentation of your narrative, and you get an extensive assessment of your plot. And we've done quite a bit of that. So are you ready for a book coach? That's part of it. So you need to look at that, because there's several things that you want to know, how to find your editors. So I'm going to stop here and see if there's any questions. And then if you want, we can talk about how to find an editor slash story coach or book coach when you're finding this developmental edit. Now, if you're looking for marketing and branding and things like that, that's another point. And again, I do encourage you to get into your team of specialists and experts there. So, and remember, follow along, subscribe here on YouTube or Facebook or wherever it is. Join up with us. Go to firstediting.com, and we'll be sending out a replay here. So let's take care. This is being recorded, and I have many people here that are asking different questions. Let's see what we have. So, what would be an optimal core number of coaches for fiction novels? Well, the best would be as many as you can afford, because coaching, developmental editing, those are very expensive. You're looking at 8 cents a word, 4 cents a word is very, very affordable, but really you're looking at 6 to 8 on the cheap end, uh, or affordable end, and on up to much, much higher. So the average manuscript is going to be around $1,000 to $2,000 minimum to get a really good editor in there and do that. Different coaches, if you're doing marketing and launching, those are different expenses. But the actual creation of your manuscript to achieve the goals that you have, to have the right product, the correct book that fulfills your goal to become an authorpreneur, then you're going to need a developmental edit to ensure that it achieves the goals that you've listed there. So it's very, very important, and you need to take a look at it from those perspectives. So I'm seeing quite a few questions again, back and forth, about the type of editing. So let me just pull up here 1 second. Uh, there are 10 questions you can ask your editor. And so I will include this link here. You can go to our website and you can download the seminar that we did on this. And it's basically goes through the different questions that you want to ask them. And as I mentioned today, you need to know what kind of editor you're getting, so that you can look at that. Let me just blow this up a little bit. Oh, let's see. Wait. And you want to do that, so you need to know, what editing experience they have, what books they've edited, what genres, what niches that they've done before, what are your qualifications. And this is a lot of work. This is basically human resources and hiring, so it's very difficult. That's why at First Editing we provide the editor. We do the matchmaking for you, from editors that are part of our group, that we have a satisfaction guarantee. We don't just simply send it out there and say, okay, we've got a freelancer here. It doesn't work that way. And so it's very important that we vet them and certify them and do additional training and have all their background and their editing qualifications all caught up there. You're going to ask them why you should trust them to edit their book and what kind of communication style. And when it comes to that, it is a matchmaking. So I do encourage you to ask for a free sample and get, see that it's a correct match there for the communication style. And what basically, what are you looking for? If you know the editing services, you need to ask them, what do they recommend? And then based upon what you want, you need to ask if that's going to be sufficient, and they're going to give you a lot of feedback. So editors, they're going to give you professional recommendations. They're going to be based on where you are in the editing process, what level of editing you need. That's determined by your experience and your mastering of the English language, not only from the ability to write, but also to achieve the goals that we just talked about. If you have a clear strategy, you want to include that when you send that to your editor. And if not, at least have that blurb, because they're going to see, are you making a promise that you can keep with the manuscript you provided? And then anything additional that you want. So you're looking at where you are in the editing stage, what you need, and then anything that you want. And what do you want? If you want a personal critique, then then ask them for that. If you want coaching and step-by-step assistance, then get that from them. These are part of the questions to find the right editor. And then you need to ask them, what do I get with the professional editing service? When we have a certified story coach, we were talking about there, you get the editing services as a developmental edit, summary letter, you get the embedded notes, the track changes, you get all kinds of support and tools there that they're going to show you the story arc graph, the word count, scene analysis, the story map, elements, blah, blah, blah. There's just so much that's done there. And the world is changing. So you really do get the best quality today, more than there was 5 years ago. I mean, we're moving that fast, folks. So make sure that you will pay a lot of money regardless. So get the best return on your investment, because that's what this is. It is an investment. And how much does it cost? Of course, that should be your question up front. I would never hire an editor based on time, because it's funny how they just takes more time to complete. How much does it cost? What are you going to get? And when is it going to be complete? Those are basic questions you always need to ask. And then if you have other things that you need, coaching, blurbs, book jacket covers, submission letters, those kind of things, ask if they provide that. And then, of course, always ask for that sample. So I will include that there. And we have lots and lots of references here for the levels of editing that you may need. So let's see here. I'm going to look at a couple questions, and then I'm going to wrap it up. I promised we would be fast today. What's the difference between First Editing and Fictionary? That's a good question. Fictionary is they created the software, and they provide a software for writers, and they also provide software for editors. And all of our editors are certified Fictionary story coach editors. Why? Because for me, as a company, it makes more sense to be able to objectively see that nothing was overlooked. And we have this process, and it's very, very thorough. And of course, quality and delivering a very good quality product is part of that. So the Fictionary is different. They're the ones who have done a certification. I'm one of the supporters there at Fictionaries, and have been with them through a lot of the development, and I'm very excited to see what they're doing. And it's a great combination. Fictionary is the AI behind what we're doing, and First Editing is the human, the contact, the coach, the person who's going to take care of you from beginning to end. I hope that answered your question. Do you have the ability to speak to the person? Oh, sorry. And I should have put that on the screen. That was what's the difference between First Editing and Fictionary. So hold that. Let's see here. Our next question. Do you have the ability to speak to the person that is editing your manuscript for First Editing? Or do you have to go through someone else to get to the editor? You, of course, may have a consultation with your editor. That's totally fine. We are happy to provide that. Let me get rid of this here. But 1 second. So of course you can talk to your editor. Let me get your question back up here. You can talk with your editor, you can have a consultation, you can arrange that personally as part of the services provided. When you're initially contacting us, we do have a client manager, an account manager who makes sure that you're connected with the right editor, that your instructions are clear, that there's no misunderstanding on what's going to be delivered at what level and when it's going to be returned. So that's very, very important. We don't have open access to the editors, or you can just pick up the phone any old time and talk, because they're professionals. They're very busy, and they have to provide this. They need to be focused directly on what it is. So if you want that additional consultation, I encourage you to definitely reach out to them. I think that the best results come from that, but I would also say that their writing and their summary letters and their evaluations are very thorough and included in their feedback and all the notes inside their editing. So if you ever need anything, of course, reach out. The one thing that we love at First Editing is to talk to our authors. So we are always available via, of course, email and blah, 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 but chat and phone. We call every single person who asks for a free sample. So again, I do encourage you to ask for a free sample. If you have questions on what you think you need, if you don't know, then find out, because that's very important. And all this being said, I do want to encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and, hook up with us a little bit more here. And if you have any questions, reach out to us at firstediting.com. And there's also let me see here. Just wanted to share with you that if you'd like, we do have a free ebook that we can provide to you, and we'll send that out. So make sure you get hold of that. You can go to firstediting.com. It's here underneath the resources, and get your free book editing handbook, your editing journey. And of course, if you go into our blogs, you're also going to see a lot more information there, so that you can get all the handouts and the downloads of this. And of course, today we talked about your book coaching for authorpreneurs. So you can search for that. Oopsie daisy. Here it is. And so check out that's on our blog, and you can download that ebook right there. And of course, if you have the 10 questions, if you want to review those, this is also what I covered today. So you can download that seminar's handout and get all the information there. I want to thank you all for coming. It's my pleasure to be with you. My name is Joellen. I am with firstediting.com. We love to hear from you. Drop us an email at editors@firstediting.com. Get your free editing sample. We'll be glad to tell you how much editing costs, what level of editing you need based upon the manuscript that you provide, and of course, based upon what you need and where you are in the editing story. A book coach is available for all nonfiction editors at First Editing. And of course, we have a story coach certified, and that is available for all of our storytellers. Thank you for joining us. I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon in the near future as we continue this series. Thank you. See you soon.